All right, so yes, we are talking about the Battle for LA, Rams versus Chargers. Now, this game will actually take place partway through the season, actually in week 3 of the NFL season. It'll be on 9/23, which for all of you people who don't understand how the calendar works, is September 23rd. Basically, I'm really excited for this matchup this season. How about you?
Yeah, I'm really excited for that matchup, especially since it's two teams that I foresee getting into the playoffs. So I think it'll be a great game. It's going to be technically a Rams home game, even though it's in LA, but, you know.
It may be a Rams home game, but we'll see how the fan turnout really is. Because a lot of the time what we notice is that the LA fan base hasn't really shown up so far. Even on our videos, if you guys are LA Rams or LA's Chargers fans, come and like these videos and check us out, because we're going to be talking about these teams, and the only way we're going to continue talking about Rams and Chargers, because we're Raiders fans mostly, is if you guys actually comment and talk with us, because your input is important to us. So, we're going to go ahead and get started with the rankings of both teams' quarterbacks. And we're going to give you guys a list of some of the quarterbacks right now. I believe... where is that at?
You get how to do it?
Yeah, I forgot how already. This is terrible.
Uh-oh. We practiced this.
I know, and it was working fine, too. That's the best part. But basically, we'll just get to the point here. I'm going to pull it up for us. I'm sorry that I couldn't get it up for everybody else. Oh, that's really bad. All right, so
already
quarterbacks for the Rams. We're going to start off with them since they actually had the better record last year. Jared Goff, Brandon Allen, and Sean Mannion.
I don't.
Or Mannion.
I'm going to say Mannion because I'm going to Peyton Manning.
Alright, well, Sean Mannion, I don't really think he's going to do that much this season. As long as Goff stays healthy, I don't really foresee anybody from those three surpassing him.
What do you have a grade for their quarterback roster?
I have them as a 4 right now. I wanted your take on this one. What is your ranking?
I got him as a 4, but had nothing to do with depth. I am a Jared Goff truther. I think he's going to be like the next Drew Brees, next Aaron Rodgers. I love everything I see about Jared Goff on the football field. He's a great quarterback. Took control of his offense, and I think second year in the system under Sean McVay, I think is just going to surprise a lot of people as to how good this guy really is, especially with the weapons he has.
Agreed, and that's why I actually am going to go over to the Chargers right now, because I feel like you've pretty much hit the nail on the head with Goff. Mm-hmm. That he's one of the best quarterbacks here in the NFL now. So let's just give them that 4. They deserve it. Yeah. I would give them a 5 if it was just him and they had two or three solid backups behind him.
Yeah, there's no depth on that roster.
But yeah, at this point, the 4 is the best I can give them. But heading over to the Chargers, it's going to be the same grade, actually, for me anyways. Mm-hmm. I don't know about yourself. What did you rate these guys?
I rated them a 4 as well.
Perfect. So that we'll probably have similar takes on this one as well. Like I said, guys, we are not actually Chargers or Rams fans. So if these numbers happen to line up, it's just by pure coincidence that they're that talented in our opinion. Mm-hmm. Phillip Rivers, Geno Smith, Cardale Jones, and Nick Shimoniak.
Who?
Shimoniak. I don't know how to say that name. This guy has a really odd name. But he might be a good quarterback for all I know. I haven't really seen any game film on this guy.
No, I've never heard of him myself.
Well, he's not the reason why I gave him a 4, that's for sure.
No.
It was actually because of Phillip Rivers and Geno Smith. Now, Geno Smith is not the greatest quarterback, but he's been a decent backup in the league. He's come in there and filled in and operated the offense fluidly. I'm not going to say, as a Raider fan, I'm kind of happy to see him over there, because if Phillip Rivers goes down, then he's going to throw 25 interceptions to the Raiders.
Yeah. I gave him a 4 kind of for a different reason. I love the depth at this position for the Chargers. Geno Smith started multiple games for the Jets. Cardell Jones coming from Ohio State, big program, pro-style offense. I like, the fact that if Phillip Rivers does go down, it's not the end of all things for the Chargers.
For the first time in a long time, it seems like they do have a backup. It's
Yeah.
not a very talented backup, but it's a backup.
No, and Rivers had, in my opinion, his best year as a starter last year. So things are looking up for them. But I mean, I think on the spectrum of a 4, I think they're on the lower end of a 4, opposed to the Rams being a 4.8, 4.9.
Agreed, and I felt this about the same way too. That's why I was saying that I would have given them a 5 if it wasn't for the depth.
Right.
Because if they would have had that little bit of depth like the Chargers do have, that would be a 5. Because the youth with the experience of playing, and how he played last year was amazing, to be completely honest, for as young as he is.
Yeah.
Going into running backs, since we left off with the Chargers last, we're going to go ahead and rate their running backs first. You want to go ahead and...
Sure. I gave him a 4. Melvin Ingram is a stud. Austin Eckler is a good backup. And I think between the two of them, they're going to be a tremendous rushing attack for him going forward this year. It's going to take a lot of the pressure off of Phillip Rivers, which is why I think they're so effective last year. He wasn't having to throw the ball 40, 45 times a game just to keep it competitive, where this year, with Ingram staying healthy, Eckler doing a very good spell back type of role, they were able to keep it balanced, and I like what I see moving forward.
Yeah, Justin Jackson, the rookie, was also the great draft pick. I was really high on him coming out of the draft. I was the only one who talked about the Chargers, but Justin Jackson was actually one of the guys I brought up to be kind of the spellback for Melvin Gordon, which will be kind of I called him the Sproles to LT, and again, I am not calling Melvin Gordon LaDainian Tomlinson. I am simply saying that there's a bruiser back and a speed back now.
Right. Yeah, I mean, LaDainian was a freak of nature. You can't really compare too many people in the history of football to LaDainian.
Not at all. Like that's day and night difference too. Going into the Rams running backs, I like Todd Gurley a lot.
Okay.
I think he's a great running back, and so that made me give them a 4. Sorry, I gave the Chargers a 3, just so you guys know. But the Rams get a 4 at the running back position. Just due to Todd Gurley alone, I believe that they did add John Kelly this offseason in the draft.
The rookie.
And we did like him as well in the draft. And I still think he's going to be more of a special teams impact player, but he's going to definitely be that spell back for Gurley this year.
I just realized I was calling him Melvin Ingram. It's Melvin Gordon.
Oh, wow.
Melvin Ingram's a defensive end. I'm an idiot. Anyways.
Yeah, that's completely another player.
Yeah.
But
same team though.
That's right, Juan. We are both looking forward to Rams versus Raiders Super Bowl.
Wouldn't that be sweet?
Now only imagine, Juan, if our ratings lined up that we get to the very next video to be Rams versus Raiders for California.
The Battle for California?
That might be the next video. You might have to check that one out next week here on Facebook. Hopefully by then we'll start the move over to Summit Pass Studios sports page, which you should all go like starting tomorrow.
Right.
Because it's going to be created tomorrow, and you will have the next 2 weeks to move over there to continue watching the West Coast Sports Debacle. All right, now, what did you rate the running back core?
For the Rams, I gave them a 5.
Wow.
And this is the reason why. And if you've watched our videos based off of the sports stuff, you know that we're not really going to be boring you guys to death with numbers. But I am going to do that real quick, only because I feel like the importance of this. So let me pull these up to give you guys actual facts, okay? So Todd Gurley last year had 1,300 yards on the ground with 13 touchdowns, right? Now you combine that with 788 yards and 6 touchdowns receiving. The only person on the team to have more receiving yards than him was Cooper Kupp. So with Sammy Watkins and Robert Woods on the team, neither one of them had more touchdowns or more receiving yards, and he's playing running back. So you combine those two right there, you don't need that.
They said that they used him like Zeke a lot last year,
Yeah.
and that was kind of the key to his success. I think that he'll draw the defense in more often now, which is going to open up Goff. And that's why I gave him a lower rating anyways, because I feel like they're going to be underutilized this next year.
I mean, we'll find out, but I think between the passing and the rushing, this is going to be the number one offense in football.
I have a feeling like that as well, but it's going to happen late in the season when they start running the football.
Right.
After looking at the schedule, it really looks like that's when they should start turning on that running game 110%.
Absolutely. Wear down these defenses down the stretch, you know?
And that brings us on to wide receivers and tight ends, because we've
Yeah.
been grouping them together.
Just the pass catchers.
Pass catchers. We could say that they are linemen, but we're going to mostly be rating them as receivers because that's usually the most, the best way that they're a weapon on the field is by being a vertical stretch or check down vertical.
Very rarely do you ever see a blocking tight end make an impact on the game.
That's true, unless they're, they have to be freak of nature blockers as well.
Yeah.
Like a Gronkowski can be a blocker too, but...
Well, that's why you see like teams like the Raiders will bring in offensive linemen for that position.
And they move people out of the way much better. Everett's going to be solid this year? Maybe. We'll talk about him in a second, though.
Yeah.
Going on... sorry, Juan. But we'll get to it, though. Stick around. We'll talk about him. I swear. It's going to happen. All right, so wide receivers, though. We're on to the wide receivers, tight ends, and we said the Rams first. So you go ahead and give them your rating. I think that we have drastic different opinions about this group of receivers.
I would not be surprised. I gave them a 5 as well. We touched on it a bit when we did the draft video for the Rams, but Brandon Cooks this year is going to be a top 10 receiver in football with this offense of Sean McVay, combining him with the underneath routes of Cooper Kupp, and don't forget Robert Woods was a stud last year and will continue to be a stud moving forward. And then, like you touched about, or you just talked about right now, the run will open up the pass, Jared Goff developing, all the stars are lining up. Number one offense in football.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and simmer that down a little bit because I give this group a 3. And I give it the group a 3 because they have no tight end depth. They have a lot of tight ends, but nobody good.
I agree.
And then on the wide receiver side of the field, you got Brandon Cooks. He's like 5'0". Cooper Kupp, one great year. Robert Woods, I got a lot of respect because you're from the Inland Empire. Outside of that, I don't have a lot of trust in you. I'm sorry. Outside of that, Mike Thomas, come on. Like, there's no real depth there. They have a good top 3 from what I'm seeing, and that's kind of where their depth for that position goes away. So I'm going to give it a 3 only because Brandon Cooks is there this year. If Sammy Watkins was there, I might have aimed at a 2.9 or 2.8 even because I don't really think that Sammy's better than Cooks either.
He's not.
Like you said with that stat with Gurley, for instance. Your running back had more receiving yards than those dudes that I just mentioned, except for
Cooper Kupp.
That's it. Exactly. They're all shorties. Thank you very much, Juan. That's exactly why I give them a 3.
No. You got to say it right. You're saying they're all shouties.
Shouties. All right, shouties.
Like not like shorties. Like
they shouties. No, they shouties.
Those shouties drinking fouties.
You got. I can't believe that they really invested that much into Cooks, a first-round pick. I'm still upset. I'm still salty about that one. I'm not even a Rams fan, and I'm salty about it. You wasted a draft pick on a guy who's halfway through his career.
For the value they got out of Brandon Cooks, they were not going to get anyone in that draft position as good as him.
think about this one. All right, he's fast, right?
Mm-hmm.
What happens when receivers get old?
They don't get as fast, but they can still be fast.
They slow down. And when you're short and you slow down, your talent's gone. Sorry. But that's just what ends up happening. So as soon as he gets one cataclysmic injury, it could end his entire season. So I'm just going to go ahead and give them that 3. They're going to have to settle with it, and we're going to move on to the Chargers, which, all right, I know Rams fans, you're going to be upset with this one after I just gave your team a 3, but they get a 4. They have more depth. They have more talent altogether on the other side of the ball. I'm sorry. Keenan Allen, Travis Benjamin, Mike Williams, you can list on these names, and they have so much depth. It's ridiculous. And then you go over to the tight end side of the ball, and they even make it worse because they have Virgil Green, who I think is still a top-tier tight end, but he's just not getting the ball. He's not getting the ball like he should get the ball. The guy can get open in the pass patterns, and they just got to hit him. He could be the fill-in for Antonio Gates this next year. Hunter Henry was already Hunter Henry last year. They just need to let him be him and have Virgil come in and be Antonio for this next year. He may not get that same level of production, but if they can make him clutch like that, I could see this team being very, very dangerous.
I don't disagree with what you're saying. I give them a 4, so I obviously like the Chargers receivers. You have Keenan Allen, who right now, before the season starts, is a top 3 receiver in football, above guys like Julio Jones. So then you did say that they have depth. I just think that you're kind of overvaluing their depth a bit. Mike Williams coming off of the injury, unproven receiver. Then you have
exactly
Tyrell Williams.
They have that kind of talent just sitting around.
They have the name of Mike Williams just sitting around. But I mean, you could say the same thing about up in Cincinnati with John Ross, a top 10 draft pick, but he's not doing anything.
But see, and I would probably do the same thing for this particular scenario of picking the teams off of what we're not talking. Like, that's the reason why I couldn't say Cooks is a bad receiver too, is because I'm giving him his rating off of him being healthy for the whole season, not him being hurt. Because if it was him being hurt, then it's way worse than that.
Yeah.
But for this particular scenario, Mike Williams with his potential and what he could be, and this is what we did with the Raiders too. I'm pumping up that rating a little bit higher off of the potential.
I agree. He does have extremely high upside. I just haven't seen it yet. And even on anything, like going back to college tape, I wasn't big on him to begin with either. But I do like Hunter Henry. But I mean, ultimately, he just needs to prove it. Kind of going what you were talking about with
the Raiders. That's it. I see. Prove it is definitely what a lot of these teams have to do to us still.
Yeah.
And I can't wait for this season because we really get to see this game. Like, I can't wait for the Raiders-Rams. I can't wait for This is one of the first times in a long time that we're going to get all these California teams matching up against each other. And what a better way or a better season to start the West Coast sports debacle than with a West Coast sports debacle.
Exactly.
It truly will be this year. And if you guys like this video, give us a like here on this video and help us out on YouTube. We're on Summit Pass Studios. I'll throw the link here in the comments in a second when David goes over the offensive linemen for the Chargers.
Yeah. So I gave them a 4 based off of last year. They did a much improved job compared to past years. They also picked up Mike Pouncey off of free agency from the Dolphins. So that's going to be a better improvement right there. And I would not be surprised whatsoever if this team becomes a better offensive lineman or line group than last year. I don't know if I would quite put them into the top 5 category, maybe even back in top 10, but definitely top half guaranteed. And I moving forward, I think this is going to be a much improved group on this team. So for the offensive line for the Chargers, what are your thoughts on that?
I actually like them a lot already.
Mm-hmm.
Watching them play the Raiders, I've always been a little upset with seeing them kick our butt constantly on the offensive front. If Khalil can't get to him, I always assume holding. But then I watched the game against them last year, and they weren't holding him. They were just playing great. For not having big names, they do pretty well for themselves. Joe Barksdale's been in the league for some time. Michael Schofield's been around. I know Mike Pouncey is a great center. And then they drafted Scott Quesenberry. We talked about him a little bit in the draft video, or I did. I keep forgetting that I did that video by myself.
Yeah.
It's such a weird thing going back that far. And then Russell Okung being there too.
Right.
Like that's what makes the Chargers line a 4 in my opinion, is actually having veteran leadership like Barksdale and Okung to develop some of this young talent that they have. They have a lot of depth too.
Absolutely.
It looks like they're going to have no issue fielding even with injuries this year.
Right. And that's what I was kind of talking about a little bit, is just the fact of, they were already sound before, and then you bring in a guy like Mike Pouncey to just solidify that offense. It's going to all come together.
And that's what we're all waiting to see. Another prove it, but this one's a lot easier to prove than
absolutely.
the other ones. Bouncing over to the Rams, I gave the Rams offensive line a 3.
Okay.
Only due to the age that's starting to happen on their line. They drafted Joseph Noteboom, or whatever the way they pronounce that, and they have a couple of good players already. Andrew Whitworth there, but we already discussed in the draft video that he's getting older. Roger Saffold is already old. I saw him being on the Raiders at one point. He got signed, and then they didn't get him, or something had happened, and now he's back with the Rams. But he's a guard now because he was a tackle. So you look at some of these players, they're coming to the end of their careers, and they have some young guys, but they're unproven. So I'm going to stand by my 3, unfortunately.
That's actually a pretty fair grade in my opinion. When I first looked at it, I thought maybe a 3 would be very fitting. I gave them a little bit of credit for the sole purpose of, I think their scheme actually hides a lot of things. With that zone blocking.
That's true.
It really doesn't isolate offensive linemen like a lot of different teams will. And with those double teams and slide blocking, the pulls, it's really going to help these guys move it along, both the younger guys and the older guys that you talked about. And the only stud that they had was Whitworth, who is, I believe, like 34 or 35 years old now.
He's like 36, I think, even.
So
he's at the end of his career, guys. And yes, you're absolutely correct. He's way too old. That's why they got Noteboom to come in there to try to replace him. And they're going to compete in camp. And we'll see what that all plays out, too. We'll be giving you guys reports through camp about all these guys, too, to see kind of where we're going to be, standing by the end. We'll be watching preseason games with you guys, and if you guys want to follow us on there and watch with us while we live stream some of those games, come on, we're waiting. But heck, we may tell you where we're at and have you come meet up with us somewhere and have you watch the game with us. Because we love to have these conversations with you guys. Like I said, every time you guys like and support these videos, it helps us keep doing them. So thank you guys for all your love and support. Going into the defensive side of the ball. Now that I've got the love and mushy stuff out of the way, let's get on to some guys that'll beat the crap out of you.
Yeah.
And the defensive side of the ball for the team that we're talking about right now, I gave the defensive line for the Rams a 5. Yes, I know it's rare for a 5 to come out of me. I don't give out 5s very often, but this grouping does need a 5. Chicken and beer sounds good, Juan.
Sign me up.
Yeah, anytime. We're down. Going to the defensive line for the Rams, Travion Young. I just looked at Aaron Donald, Ndamukong Suh.
Michael Brockers.
Yeah, Michael Brockers, and you just can go through here with the depth too.
Mm-hmm.
That with the depth and the talent, I wish I could give him a 6, but I made a scale of 1 through 5, so I'm gonna give him that 5.
Yeah, I agree with everything you just said. Aaron Donald is a top 3 or top 5 player in football, regardless of position. And then you add Ndamukong Suh, who's going to add that ferociousness to the side of the ball, where it's going to make these running backs not want to run up the middle against these guys.
No, I wouldn't want to. No.
And then if one of these guys come
Khalil Mack is not coming over to Juan. You are not going to get Khalil Mack 2. It's not going to happen. We talked about this. The only way that's happening is if you guys trade us everything good on your team. That's the only way.
Well, Gruden already said he doesn't care how much it costs. He's going to pay it to Max. So
yeah, and they know that they're going to get the contract done before season 2. But we'll talk more about Raiders on another video, guys.
Yeah.
We already got off topic. Thanks, Juan. We like your comments. Keep doing it. Just don't talk about Khalil Mack. It's hard for us to keep concentration with Khalil Mack and involved in conversation.
It's like, instead of like squirrel, it's Raiders.
Khalil.
Yep.
Amari.
Yeah.
Well, anyways.
No, they can
all right.
Amari.
We got to go to defensive line for the Chargers.
Right.
I ranked them a 4.
Mm-hmm.
What'd you give them?
I gave him a 5.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Really?
For the opposite reasons. We were talking about the Rams. We were talking about run stuffing, just hard mouth football. Where with the Chargers, it's more of those pass rushers on both ends. We got Melvin Ingram this time with Joey Bosa. You know, one of the best tandems in football when it comes to pass rush, especially off the edge. These guys are studs. And then they still have, I believe it's Brandon Mebane in the middle. So, you know, they've got depth at this position, or at these positions, and they're going to be able to do a lot of things this year. They're going to have probably 20 sacks between the two of them.
See, that's what I'm, as a Raider fan, I'm constantly worried about with these guys on the field. Melvin Ingram, Joey Bosa. I like Corey Liuget a lot, too. He wasn't bad last season for them. Brandon Mebane's always good. And then I know that they got Justin Jones as the rookie. I think that with that depth right there, a 4 is more than fitting. There's a lot of guys that I'm looking on the outside of them, like especially in the defensive end side. Like if one of those guys goes out, there's not really anybody to replace him. So Joey Bosa, if he wasn't injury prone from college, I think that there would be more of an upside with him. I don't think he's going to improve much more than he already is. And Melvin Ingram's too small to really improve beyond what they're at. So I agree. They're great. They're awesome players. But I feel like eventually they're going to get figured out. Just my opinion.
We'll have to find out.
Yeah, especially this season. It'll be awesome. Bosa is a beast. You are correct. Yeah. And no, Tavon Austin's gone. Thank God, Juan. Thank God Tavon Austin's already off your team. That was actually one of the best things I saw in the offseason from them.
And not only was he taken off the team, but they got something for him.
Yeah,
I was surprised on that part. He should have just been cut.
Yeah, he was going to get cut anyways, and they got something for him. That's always good.
I mean, even just a turkey sandwich would have been worth it.
At that point.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to move on to linebackers, and we're going to be with the Chargers first.
Why don't you lead us off?
All right, so I rated the Chargers linebacking core a 3. And it's all off of young prospect, basically.
I don't know how much upside they really have, but that's why I gave them a 2. Maybe I'm being maybe I don't know how to say, like a pessimist about it.
Yeah,
but
you could be a pessimist about it a little bit, though, because there's not really a lot of talent there. I understand. That was what made me give him a 3 in the first place, was that if I didn't like White at all, then we would be having a completely different discussion.
Right.
If I didn't like Kaiser, we would, same thing.
I think the guys I have are serviceable, but I don't think any one of them is going to be a big name if you're not a Charger fan.
No, not really. And then that moves us on to the Rams. What'd you rate them?
I rated them a 3. They lost, was it Mark Barron, I believe?
Did they lose him? I thought he was still on the team.
I know they lost one of their big name linebackers.
Oh, it was Ogletree.
Ogletree, that's
yes.
right.
Ogletree they lost to free agents.
Yeah, I knew it was one of the two. So they lost Ogletree, but they did keep Barron. I like him a lot in pass coverage, not very strong in run support, but when you got guys like Sue and Donald up front, it really frees up a lot. Being 6'2", 225, it's not undersized, but it's just not really his role. And aside from Barron, I don't see a lot of names, just like the Chargers, that really make me go, wow, this guy's a playmaker moving forward.
Juan already misses Ogletree. I understand, dude. Watching him play was kind of a blessing for them the last couple of years. But they did draft a guy that gives me a little bit of hope with Micah Kaiser. I like him a lot. It's kind of like the Kaiser White thing. There's just some guys that can kind of come in and fill those roles. I honestly feel like he's the guy who could step in there now that they have two defensive linemen that can really set him up. So I ended up giving them a 3 as well. Just the same thing, future prospects. Like, I have more faith in the future prospects of both of these two teams' linebacking core than I do of the Oakland Raiders' linebacking core.
Wow.
Yeah. And I'm a Raider fan, we all know from watching this video and how much I've talked about the Raiders inside of a Chargers-Rams video.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, basically, we'll move on to cornerbacks. We just covered the Rams, so I'm going to go ahead and let you start off on this one because you love the trades that happened with this group. So I'm going to let you go ahead and break it down first.
Okay, so I give them a 3.5 for the sole purpose of you got Aqib Talib and Marcus Peters, right? If they're on the field, they are one of the best tandems in football. But there's so many distractions every single year between these two. They're bound to get suspended or injured or something. Yes, they have Sam Shields to come in. He's a great nickel corner, decent out wide. I'll give you that. But when you pay to go and get those guys, you need them on the field. And when they're not on the field, they're not able to produce. If you were to tell me right now, I guarantee you that both of them play 16 games, I'll give them a 4, maybe a 5. But since they more than likely will not both play all 16, I put them at a 3.5 with upside.
Okay. I went off of paper. I said that this group is a 5. Mm-hmm. Because of talent alone, they are a 5. They have the depth that I didn't think they were going to have. Sorry, but I thought they were going to lose a lot of people this year. And then they got back way more than what they gave up, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Was it Tremaine Johnson? Was he the corner last year?
The name sounds familiar.
Juan, tell me if it is Tremaine. That was the guy who was playing corner for you guys last year.
It sounds right.
Yeah.
I don't know if he was a safety or a corner. I
believe he was a corner.
Yeah.
Talib is going to snatch Amari's chain. Well,
easy.
Amari doesn't wear a chain, so that's where you messed up right there. It. Oh, yeah.
He tucks his in.
Yeah, unlike Frey. Oh, so it was, yep, I was right. Okay, cool. All right, so I was right about the corner. But Talib, Peters, and Shields?
Yeah, Sam Shields.
I like the combination of those three. If they stay on the field, this is the best cornerback group on paper in the league. On paper.
I can't argue that.
Are they all attitudes? Yes. Yes, they are attitudes. Yes, they are problems. But if they get out there and they do play, I do see this team in the Super Bowl. If they can stay on the field for every game of the season, there's no reason why they wouldn't be in the Super Bowl.
And moving forward, that really is the biggest question mark around this team. I think the only thing that can hold this team back is those distractions. When you got those two guys and you add in Sue.
And Aaron Donald's in contract negotiation right now, too.
That's a lot of big personalities with millions of dollars that need to be thrown around, and someone potentially can get burned on this really badly.
That's true. But as Juan pointed out, it is the best Madden 18 team possible now.
Yeah.
Because, well, what player's bad in rating on that team, I don't know. Because they moved Cooks over there, too, for the game, so it's even better. But enough of Madden. We'll talk. Maybe we'll do some live streams of Madden in the future just for the heck of it. Maybe we'll record our old school Madden game between me and David here eventually. But that's up to you guys. That's up to you guys. Going on to the Chargers corners.
Right.
Because you gave this group a 3.5 for the Rams. I gave them a 5. Now, I gave the corners for the Chargers a 3.
Mm-hmm.
And I really only like Jason Verrett.
Yeah.
Pretty much after that, not really too excited about anybody else.
Quick question for you guys in the chat. If there's any actual Charger fans in the chat right now, can you go back to the last page?
Oh, yes.
Can you guys let us know if Desmond King is a safety or a corner? Because we've got conflicting info on that.
Yeah, according to the Chargers website, they say that Desmond King's a safety.
Mm-hmm.
But
on NFLnetwork.com, it said he was a corner. So I don't.
You didn't know they had a corner? Oh, dang! All right,
shots fired.
Where's that one at?
I mean, any of those fit.
Yeah, wow. That was definitely a wow right there. I love that one, though. That was pretty funny.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that one.
Verrett's not bad, though, to be honest.
No, he's not bad at all, actually. And that's the reason why I gave him a 3 in the first place, was because he's good enough to really kind of cover that difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not really pumped up on them, though. Well, I am as a Raider fan, but not really as a as a fan of football. If I'm watching that team, I'm kind of bummed about that cornerback position. I wish they would have got somebody kind of maybe in the draft to go with their safety pick, but we'll talk about that when we get there.
Yeah. I gave him a 3 as well, for the sole purpose of I like Verrett a lot, and I don't think they necessarily need to have those big corners like the Rams do. When you're playing a team like the Raiders who want to run the ball, Kansas City wants to run the ball, Denver has a new quarterback, so they're going to want to run the ball. So when they already have the pass rushers like they have, it really can disguise those bad corners and safeties back there.
Yeah, because they can't get the ball off easily,
Right.
so it does kind of mask some of that. But that's the reason why I think both of us could only give them a 3 is because we know that the defensive line makes a big impact for the Chargers, so you don't really get to see these corners make mistakes or play coverage for too long.
Right.
And when they do, they usually get burned. So that's what makes me think, all right, they got to be just average at best. There's no superstar talent really, except Verrett's close, but I don't really think he's even a superstar.
He's not a top 10 or a top 15 corner, but he's definitely a startable corner for majority of teams.
No, but speaking of a guy who could be a superstar, moving on to safeties, I think that Derwin James could possibly be one of those guys, a superstar safety.
Yeah, I like Derwin James a lot. But after Derwin James, I don't like any safeties on the Chargers roster for depth purposes for starting. Unless Desmond King is a safety, then I'll raise my grade. But I have them as a 2, pending King being a corner or a safety. I'll make them a 3 if King's a safety.
And that's why I have him as a 3 right now, is because of King and him as safeties. I felt like that was a 3 because of Prove It. Again, I with Derwin especially, because he's a guy who is so talked up, I really want him to prove it more than others.
Yeah. Well, when you pick a guy that early into the draft, you need to have him come in and make an early impact.
Like right away.
Right. And I like the fact that they got the safety position because that was the biggest need that this team had. It's just kind of a struggle when your best player at a position is a rookie, doesn't really have anyone to learn from. Normally if they have like that mentor type guy, like what Charles Woodson did for the Raiders, it can really speed up a development process. But when you don't have that, do they? I thought they still have is it LaMarcus Joyner?
Maybe. We'll look that up right now. You check that out right now. I'm gonna.
Or no, that's the Rams. I'm sorry.
The Rams have LaMarcus Joyner.
Yeah, I was an idiot.
Yeah, Rams have LaMarcus Joyner.
I knew the name should be brought up in this conversation, but just the wrong team. Apologies. So what do you give the Chargers for safety then?
I gave them a 3.
Mm-hmm.
And moving over to the Rams, we'll just close this out. I gave them a 3 as well because of Joyner. And Johnson, the third, not bad, but I haven't seen a lot of game film on him, to be completely honest. So we're just going to kind of leave that grade at that.
I agree. I gave him a 3 for the exact same reason.
And ladies and gentlemen, I'd love to get your takes on what their records of these two teams are going to be down in the comments below right now if you're still watching the video. We'll start with our Rams predictions first, I believe. Well, we'll go ahead and say what the point total was for the Rams.
So out of a possible of 45 points if every position got a 5, I give the Rams my highest grade of any team, which is 32.5.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really high. And I actually set the bar for the highest score I've given as well for the Rams as a 30 out of 45.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty high on my end. And then I went over to the Chargers, and they ended up 2 points behind, 28 points.
Mm-hmm.
So the Rams, in my opinion, will be the team representing LA for that. Wow. Okay, yeah, I need to go ahead and run here in a second, so we got to close this out. What are your picks?
I got the Rams going 12-4 and contending for a Super Bowl. I think it'd be between them and the Vikings to represent the NFC for sure.
Oh, wow. All right. Yeah, Rams are 12-4.
Mm-hmm.
Chargers are 10-6. I'm gonna let David sign us out and close this video off. I gotta run because apparently I have an African child now because of the way that the smear was poop and bye.
All right, so moving forward from that, I got the Chargers with 28 points out of 45. I got them actually, I believe, right on par or maybe just a hair above the Raiders. Based off of what's on paper, not actuality, I actually got the Chargers going 9-7 this year, getting the wild card second place in the West behind the Raiders. Both of these teams I think are going to do very well this year. Like I said with the Rams, I think it's going to come down to them and the Vikings to represent the NFC. I mean, you can throw the Packers in there as well. There's a couple other teams in the NFC, which I think is the tougher of the two conferences. With the Chargers, it's a lot easier for them to get in my opinion, because Denver's on a massive decline. The Chiefs have a lot of question marks around that organization. The Raiders, I think, are going to be a much improved team compared to last year. So I've got them at 9-7. I don't really know if that's going to work out or not, but let us know in the comments down below what you think the ratings are going to be for the record. If you agree with us, disagree with us, just, kind of keep the conversation going. Just because we're going to be signing off right now doesn't mean that we can't keep this going. If you guys liked what we did today, leave a like. We're going to be continuing on with the team that we think is better between the two of these, which we both think is the Rams. With the Raiders, probably on Monday, we're going to be comparing the two teams and see which team is the better of the two for California. And other than that, I've been David. He's been Jeremiah. We're going to go ahead and sign out now. Go ahead and like and subscribe, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Peace.